Yeah.
It's got 2 videos, one of them.
Yeah, I got 3 in all. 3
All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get the meeting started. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Sanchez. Trustee Reyes-Plummer.
Here.
Trustee Jones. Trustee Blackford.
Here.
Trustee Peppers.
Here.
Trustee Brandon.
Here.
And Mayor Wood.
Here.
Here.
All right, thank you, everyone. All right, so normally we go ahead and kick off with the prayer confession. I'm just going to say a prayer so that we can get started, and then we'll stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our heads bowed. Father God, thank you for bringing us all together in the village of Maywood to discuss the prosperity of the village of Maywood. Let this meeting be pleasing unto your sight. Let every conversation, every word, every tongue be pleasing unto you. Let the village work to do what's best to move this community forward in a positive way, in a productive way, and in a life-sustaining way. For all these things we ask of more. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. And we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. 5 Approval of the minutes for Committee of the Whole meeting of the Board of Trustees for April 5th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Trustee Brandon, second by Trustee Reyes-Plummer. Are there any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Sanchez. Trustee Reyes-Plummer.
Aye.
Trustee Jones. Trustee Lightfoot.
Here.
Trustee Peppers.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
And Mayor Cooper.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right. We got 6 reports, proclamations, announcements, and appointments. For announcements, just so everyone know, we had the rainstorm this past Saturday, so we did postpone Village Pride Village-wide to Saturday, May 14th. So for all of the organizations that had signed up to be a part of it, they've all been notified, and we will be continuing to have that on May 14th. So that is at 9 o'clock, right behind the police department at the gazebo. We'll be servicing 19 different locations throughout the village of Maywood. So it'll be a great time. If you have not signed up, it is not too late to sign up. You just go to bit.ly/VPVW 2022, and you'll be able to see that. We also have the Civil War Living History, which will be on Saturday, May 14th. That it will be at 10 a.m., between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. So there will be a live presentation in regards to reenactments of the Civil War by members who are different members who are characters who reenact Civil War for officers who served that are white and black and people of color. So it is a great time to come out and see the Village of Maywood history, see the Civil War history, and it's a great time being put on by the historical interpreters and living historians from the Historic Preservation Commission. All right. All right. Clerk, Joanne Diane Williams.
Some of you already know from our budget hearings that we have promotion in our office. And so today we'd like to give our new deputy clerk her oath of office.
Clerk, you want to grab the wireless mic?
Okay.
Or do you want me to come down?
Hey. All right, you can hold the Bible for her.
Just turn it on.
Oh, thank you. Teamwork. I love it. Yes. Okay. So repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Constance Tompkins,
having been appointed to the office of deputy clerk
the office of Deputy Clerk
in the village of Maywood,
in the Village of Maywood,
county of Cook, state of Illinois, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United
of
States,
the United States,
the Constitution
Constitution
of the state of Illinois,
of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties
the duties
of the office
of the office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
This 3rd day of May, 2022.
Congratulations.
For Alice, clerk, you want to go to the picture?
Oh, picture. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
All right. 7, financial management report. A, monthly financial report for the month of March 2022 by Lonnie Satchel, Director of Finance. Sorry, does the board have any questions for Ms. Satchel? It's always a pleasure. All right, 8, public comment. For public comment, you give your name, you do not have to give your address, and you are limited to 3 minutes. Please adhere to the 3 minutes.
Joe Wilson.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Sir. Mayor, trustees, village manager. Check. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Maybe can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
No, but you need to grab the mic because people online can't hear you if you don't have the mic.
It's already on.
You just turned it off. Turn it back on.
Yeah, it's on. Oh, you gotta roll it up.
The lights on.
Check.
Did you turn it on?
I can probably talk better without the mic.
Yeah, test it.
They can't hear you online.
Huh?
They can't hear you online.
You have to talk into it.
Check. You
There
got
we
it?
go.
All right. Well, basically, I was going to talk about my business and being a business owner and a taxpayer here in the village of Maywood. However, I've been meeting with some senior citizens and other residents here in Maywood, and we have concerns about our current administration that's in place. We've seen certain people who have been removed. Our legal department, which was Jurassic was here, is gone. We have a new legal department, and we seem there's been some discrepancies in transparency. We got the compiled statutes from the state of Illinois in dealing with managerial form of government, which is what we have here at the village, a managerial form of government. And then certain parties are separated in terms of separation of powers, meaning the elected officials and the mayor, whose responsibility is for legislation and policy making, and the day-to-day operations is done by the village manager. However, whatever the village manager does must be approved by the elected officials. And we've seen certain things that have taken place, and it hasn't been done like that, and we have no transparency as to how, why, when, and why it took place. So what we're here for, we want to continue to get these compiled statutes, municipal codes, as well as ordinance of the village, to make sure that the people that are coming in here from the outside, replacing the people who have been here on the inside, are qualified to come in here and to run our village, to make sure our village is enhanced and taken to a higher level rather than bring it down. We need to be more transparency in terms of our finances. Our finances come from various forms of economic growth, from our taxpayer dollars to grants coming from whether the federal government or the state government. How much are the grants? What are the grants geared for? And how are they going to be spent? We need to have a monthly budget in terms of how much money we have in our budget for this month, how much money was spent on expenses, letting us know what is the balance going forward in the next month. And we don't see that. All we see is when we come to a meeting like today, that all the trustees, the mayor, the village manager, you all sit up there and you have a package that you all go through. And when you all discuss the package that you go through, we're left in the dark. We have a newsletter. The newsletter doesn't reflect the big picture in terms of what Maywood is all about, the growth of Maywood. What are the plans that the new administration have for taking Maywood to a higher level? We need to know that. We need to know when certain people leave here, why did they leave here? And the people who replaced them, where did they come from? What is their background? What is their skills in running a government? We have some people on the board that don't have those skills, understandably so. Are those people sent to seminars so they can learn? So they can learn how to do that?
I'm giving up my time
Thank-
to him.
Are you yielding your time?
Okay, so for Teresa,
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yielding your time. Continue.
continue.
Okay, and these are things that we need to know. We need transparency, and we don't seem to be getting transparency, okay? And we don't know whether our trustees, our mayor, even our village manager understands the codes. The Illinois compiled statutes, the municipal codes, as well as the ordinances, local ordinance, that's put together in this village here. These are things that need to be transparent to us so we can see the things that are taking place. We look at our infrastructure. Our infrastructure shows like streets, our roads, our commercial area. It doesn't look like it's growing, it looks like it's going down. We need to know commercial property that's coming in here, how are they going to address the unemployment situation that exists here in Maywood? Are they going to come in here and create jobs whereas Maywoodians can get these jobs as they qualify? Or are we going to bring people from the outside that don't live in Maywood, know nothing about Maywood, has no history on Maywood, to take those positions? It's kind of concerning to us. So we don't want you all to think that we're here to attack you or bring you down. We want you all to understand our concerns. We want to work along with you, partner with you, and hopefully you will partner with us. Because remember, it is our tax dollars that pays your salary. It is our tax dollars that pays the department heads and the people who work here for the village of Maywood. Remember this here, he who pays the fiddler calls the tune. No employee tells the employer what they're going to do or what they're not going to do. It's the employer that defines to the employee their job descriptions and related duties. And we need to know exactly what they are. We had what? I'm a commissioner on traffic and safety. Traffic and safety, as far as I'm concerned, has been disbanded because it was told to us on traffic and safety that the jobs we were doing, we were not supposed to be doing. That there are people in place who are getting paid to do these type jobs, as far as getting handicap stickers for our residents who have disabilities. We have our credentials, but they're not updated. Our credentials are out of date. So if I was to go on one of these people's property and show them my credentials, they want to know, well, who are you? And if I show them my identification, they say, well, it's expired, so they don't have to listen to me. And these are things that we need to get straight. We got different committees that meet. You have a finance committee that meets. I don't know whether it's open to the residents or not. If it is, let us know. When do they meet? So we can attend these meetings. The group that I'm speaking of, senior citizens and residents of Maywood, sure, rest assured we're a small group now, but we intend to make it grow. We intend to recruit and have people, residents, come to these meetings so they can get first-hand information from our elected officials, as well as our village manager, on what is the plight for Maywood. What is the big picture? What are their plans to make Maywood grow? We need to know that. And that's what we've formed this group for. So I don't want you to think we're here to attack you. We're here to follow the Illinois statutes in terms of compiled statutes, the municipal codes, as well as the local ordinance, to make sure that these things are done according to these guidelines. These are the guidelines that govern us.
You had 6 minutes.
I got how much?
You done.
1 second. All right. So I want to thank you all, okay? And hopefully we can work together and solve the problems of Maywood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gloria Clay?
Gloria Clay. I have 4 questions I need to ask, and I'm not really sure if they're taking place, but I just need to ask. I am one of the person that's working with Joe on the ordinances and on the state statutes, so we're hoping to be able to come together and get some work done that needs to be done very badly in this town, and hopefully so we can work with the trustees and the mayor and get to what needs to be done. I called the village hall today, and the person that answered the phone said you have reached a general mailbox. Leave a message and somebody will call you later. that is not the kind of answer that a senior citizen wants to hear, a taxpayer wants to hear, or anyone wants to hear. Leave a message, we'll call you back later. Not who's going to call me back later. That's unacceptable. We had 2 people downstairs, part-timers, a young mother with 3 children under the age of 6, and a senior citizen who was answering the phone. You were able to get through to someone. Now there's no one there. I need to ask, are you guys aware of that? And do you really care? Because to let these people go, if you did, it was unacceptable, and so now who's supposed to answer the phone? You call and you can't even get anyone. No one answers the phone. We'll get back to you later. Who? That's just a slap in the face to the senior, to any citizen. And I don't particularly care for it because my tax dollars are the one that you're misusing, and I don't like it. The other thing is, word is, and this is the word, it's not etched in stone, that because these 2 people have been let go, there are some interns coming in to take their places. We need to know, are you trustees aware of that, or is this true? We need to know, and if you are able to pay an intern to come in, why can't you keep these 2 citizens who are part-time mother and a senior citizen? I don't understand that. Their salary couldn't be that much of an overbearing on the budget. It could not be. I don't understand it. Please help me. I don't know if this is true or not, but I understand that we do give signing bonuses. So we're able to, if we got that kind of money to give a signing bonus, we should be able to pay these 2 people $15 or $16 an hour, and that's all they're getting for 4 hours a day. The trustees cannot possibly know what is going on when you are really sitting there, and you may not know it, but when this is aired, you can actually see you guys sitting there texting one another or texting someone that's not even here. You may want to pay attention to what's going on so you know how to vote and what you're voting for. Okay,
Let's go. You win time.
my time is up. Okay, I'll do more next time. But anyway, we need some answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Edwina Perkins.
My name is Edwina Perkins, Mayor, Trustees, Village Manager, Clerk. Edwina Perkins is asking, where are you going to put the 7 other apartment buildings after they paid the mayor the $20,000 for building them? We, the committee, sat on that committee for 4 years to make that happen. And you're saying we have 4 years to spend the $1.3 million? What are you going to do with it? To get the expressway cleaned, all you have to do is call them and they will clean it for us. And you need to take a look at that. And I'm not going to talk about the way things are being done, but we, the citizens, the older citizens here in the village of Maywood that's been here for years, is not very happy with the way our village is looking or how it's being operated. The other question is, the houses that were supposed to be torn down, what's happening with them? We had a list that those houses were supposed to be torn down, but yet still, it's a shame that we sit here and let it look like it do. And we also have a few pipes that have been broken. The 1400 block on 12th, that street has not been without water for the last month, basically. And we were told that the pipe was not broke, but we were finding out that the pipe was broke and it's still sitting there. And I started to call, but I decided not to. And also at 9th and Quincy, and also on the expressway, we have some pipes that have been broken. And we, the citizens, have not heard anything concerning that, and I have to agree with Joe and the other, we, the village of the citizens here in the village of Maywood, is not happy with what's sitting up in front of you. And what you don't realize, you don't look good. You sit here, finance person come to you, you do not ask not one question. And the people are not happy. Has nothing to do with what I sat here for. I sat here for 20 years. I never missed a meeting in 20 years. Never missed a meeting. But I always asked questions. But you don't know how you look. You do not look good. And I'm not talking about you, but I didn't want to say this, but it's just on my heart today to say, you need to take a look. Because the people are looking at you, and you don't look good. Because you're not saying anything, but yet and still, you are supposed to be running a town, and you're not asking any questions. And Ms. Clay said to you about your position and what you should be doing, and you do need to read that stuff. And to the mayor, you came in,
Mayor Perkins, time.
you made life hard for us.
Ms. Perkins, you're at time. Thank you.
I know that, and I apologize, but you made life hard for us. And please, change what you're doing now. It doesn't look good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Loretta Robinson.
Good evening to the mayor, other village trustees,
Good evening.
village manager. My name's Loretta Robinson, and I have the same concerns along with the other residents about the changes in the personnel. There is supposed to be a protocol to hiring people. They're supposed to be listed whereby anyone and everyone that wants to can apply for these positions. Now, I just got back and I haven't seen any positions posted, and this is my second meeting since I've been back, and I find that there have been multiple changes, multiple discharges of staff. No understanding as to why. It hasn't been discussed in the last meeting I was at. I don't know what's going to happen today, but I see 2 more people being replaced. If all of these people are being replaced, where are their resumes? Do any of you have any information about the people that are being hired? We are supposed to have some accountability. And if we don't have people applying for these positions and then being scrutinized by the board, that's you guys up there. You're the board. You're supposed to have some say-so as to the availability and the accountability of the people that are being interviewed by whom, being hired by whom, and as the general public and taxpayers, we don't know anything. We see people that have been here for years. And I don't say that change isn't good. It's only good if it's satisfactory and we know something about the people. I have no problem with our village manager. She's done what she thinks is best for the village. But you, as trustees, represent the people of Maywood, and that's not being done. We, in the past, have always had these resumes come to the board, if not in open session, in closed session, where you know who these people are, what their qualifications are. We don't hesitate to tell you what we're unhappy with.
And you should be able to read these resumes, see where the people are coming from, see what their qualifications are, and then have something to say. Please do your jobs. Do something about
Thank
the
you, Mr.
quiet
Robinson.
pace that you're keeping. It's not acceptable.
Vicky House.
I'm Vicki Haas, and I'm a friend of the Maywood Home for Soldiers' Widows, and I'm on the Historic Preservation Commission. And I've put at the front here some flyers. I want to thank the mayor for announcing. I came scurrying over here because I wanted to make sure that it got announced at the meeting tonight and all the trustees were aware of this event. I've given all of you a couple. I'm going to Mr. Feliciano has printed out a bunch. And so the Civil War Living History event is brought back after a 2-year hiatus. And due to COVID, I want to tell you that the actors figured out how to do it during COVID with social distancing and keeping family groups together. And so they were ready to come last year, but I don't think we were. And they are coming on the 14th of May. It's a busy day, so you get out there and you do a little cleanup and then you come over to First and Lake. And it's, I don't know if you've been there before, it is so fascinating. Different actors, it's whoever, they're all volunteers. And they put out the schedule for the year. Somebody's got a wedding, they can't make it on the 14th of May, somebody else will come. So we get an undertaker, we get a blacksmith, whatever it is, and they demonstrate the musket firing. And word is that President Lincoln is going to come. He's come a couple of times to address his troops. So bring your family, your friends, and also it's our way of doing creative placemaking to let people know, coming down First Avenue, a lot of people throughout the area come to this, to be aware of the potential the First and Lake and the Maywood Home for Soldiers' Widows has for redevelopment. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is for the public comment.
All right. So, looking at public comment, Mr. Wilson understood about the watchdog group, understood in regards to looking at the state statute for form of government, and thinking about the transparency aspect, the monthly budget, and all of the things that we look at in our board packet that is available for download on the village website. So there's really nothing that we're looking at that you can't look at as well. So if you go to the Village of Maywood's website and you shoot right over to, reference desk, and you go under agendas and minutes, when you tap into it, you'll be able to see the exact same system that we look at, which is board books. And you click on agenda. When you click on agenda, you'll be able to open up the same tab that we open up. So in the past, we would have like this huge board packet printed out. Everything is downloaded in the system now. There is absolutely nothing that we're looking at that you can't look at the same time. So if you want to go in at the same time in regards to Director Satchel going over the financial report, you can definitely go in and download that. One thing that I want everybody to remember and realize is in the past, there probably was a lot of questions when it came to the financial report because we didn't have consistent finance committees and government transparency committee meetings. So now that the trustees are chairs and co-chairs of the Financial Accountability and Government Transparency Committee, a lot of financial questions are asked during that time. If people recall the previous administration, I probably was one of them that asked a lot of questions. So now if I have questions as the mayor, I'm the one who signs the checks, I can just ask finance. So a lot of times when we look at in the past, there were questions asked. There wasn't a finance committee in the past that had a chair and a co-chair as trustees, and definitely I'll be the one that says I probably asked the most questions to Ms. Satchel when I was a trustee. I can ask her directly before we get to it, and definitely when the checks are getting signed. So that would give a little explanation as to why there are not so many questions asked during finance. The other thing you said in regards to, the newsletter. So in the newsletter and every month we showcase different economic opportunities and different growth that's happening within the village of Maywood. So if you look at just the last 3 to 4 months, we've highlighted the 1900 Maywood Drive project, which is an 84,000 square foot grocery distribution center. We've highlighted the renovation and expansion of ABW Car Wash on 9th and St. Charles. We've highlighted the expansion of National Cycle of more than 15,000 square feet, expanding their services over on Maywood Drive. We've highlighted the opening of the new First Student location on 9th and St. Charles. We've highlighted the expansion and growth of George Strom becoming LRS. So we highlighted LRS in regards to touring those facilities. We've highlighted the old Baptist home that had been closed for decades, coming back on as 100 new rooms that should be opening this summer. We've highlighted Buddy Bear Car Wash that's being built right now. They've torn down the gas station on First Avenue, so Buddy Bear Car Wash is being done. We've highlighted the federally qualified health center feasibility study that we're looking at for 5th and Washington, where it's currently just dirt, where the old tow truck Robinson's Towing was. We've highlighted the new Shell gas station that's coming on Roosevelt Avenue, where the old Falcon Fuel used to be. We've highlighted IFF building 24 units of affordable and workforce housing. We've highlighted the opening and expansion of the Kingston Market, Caribbean and African groceries. We've highlighted Legends Grill and Cafe, which is one of our very few sit-down restaurants here in the village of Maywood. We highlighted the opening of Allure Hair Studios. So I think those all are in the newsletters that have been coming out. We also highlight them every month at a board meeting when we talk about the community as a whole of different things that are coming to the village. So I would say we definitely, very much so, highlight the different things that are coming. When you talk about infrastructure, we've definitely highlighted on more than several occasions how if everything was fixed in the village of Maywood, it would be $340 million to fix all of our infrastructure issues. We've highlighted the funding that we've gotten in partnership from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District to fix our sewage system on the other side of Madison. We've highlighted money that we've gotten from Cook County. We've gotten $2.5 million from Senator Lightford, $1.5 million from Speaker Welch, another $1.5 million from Congressman Davis when we announced that with gas tax as well as funding from the congressman that we are fully funded to completely redo Washington Boulevard. So we've highlighted that. We've also highlighted multiple other things. We do have the State of Maywood Address, which is a breakfast on Saturday. That'll be May 21st at 9 a.m., where we'll be highlighting a whole slew of things in regards to grants received, what we're doing with the funding, where the fundings go, timeline in regards to projects that are underway. So if you can, that will be again Saturday, May 21st at 9 a.m. It'll be a breakfast, and everyone is welcome to attend. It'll be at the Maywood Park District in the gym. You spoke about traffic and safety. So as I've said to the Traffic and Safety Committee before, in regards to the handicap stickers, when residents are actually filling out applications for their handicap stickers, it should not be a private resident who has access to their confidential health records, nor should they have access to their confidential state identification. It's a HIPAA violation. It could get the village sued. So those things need to be handled by the actual paid representatives of the village of Maywood. So right now, the village manager and the clerk's office is making sure that process is streamlined on a village standpoint. Right now, you guys are not insured by the village of Maywood to walk on people's personal property. So if you were to walk on someone's personal property and something did happen, you are not an employee of the village of Maywood. So again, when I speak about the traffic and safety, it is what it is. You guys have definitely given Trustee Peppers the list in regards to stop signs, speed bumps, flash signs for going over the speed limit. Those type of safety and traffic issues, we still need your support on, and we still would love for you guys to support Trustee Peppers and his committee for public safety and government and police accountability. But in regards to looking at confidential records that literally are HIPAA violations and illegal, we can't keep doing that just because we used to do it in the past. Ms. Clay?
As you know, man, we turned that over.
I got you. Then that's why I just wanted to get clarity.
Right.
and I appreciate it. So with Ms. Clay, I look forward to the village manager giving information in regards to why the telecommunications team was fired. That is not something that the board voted on or gave direction to do. In regards to the interns, I'm not quite sure. So that would be another conversation. I do hope that we do not have just a general mailbox with a generic voicemail, because again, I've expressed that that is not something that the residents need nor businesses need, and it's not. So I understand. Marvin's only going under direction, right? So I've expressed that thought process. Ms. Perkins, I am going to ask that you schedule a meeting with the village manager, because I have no clue what you're talking about when you say $1.3 million. I don't know what you're talking about when you say the mayor's getting paid $20,000 for some development. I don't know what you're talking about when you talk about broken pipes. If the residents on the 1400 block of South 12th or the residents of 19th and Quincy had no water or no pipes for days or weeks as you're claiming, I am sure you would not be the first person to say it. So I am going to ask for your comments that you schedule a meeting with the village manager so that you can get your concerns taken care of. Ms. Robinson, I completely agree with you that change is only good if it's satisfactory. So I pray that we operate in more transparency. I pray that we actually post positions to the public and make sure that we give the Village of Maywood residents a fair chance to get positions rather than immediately filling them. So I agree with that. But I will say, on the Village of Maywood website right now, if you go under Human Resources and Employment Opportunities, you will see 2 positions of building inspector posted. You'll see revenue manager position posted. You'll see several positions of part-time police officers posted. And then you'll also see planning and zoning officer posted. So those positions are active on the village website right now for any residents to be able to apply for. The building inspector, we haven't filled that position in a year. So if any resident is interested, by all means, we most certainly will look into that. The revenue manager position hasn't been filled in a year as well, but both of those positions have been posted for a complete year. So looking forward to getting those positions filled. For the part-time police officers, definitely looking forward as we're coming on the summer months to get those part-time roles filled as well. So preferably we'll get that. And then Ms. Haas, thank you for the information. We all have packets and we look forward to attending, for those who can, on Saturday, March 14th. Between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. they'll be doing different reenactments. And that is all I have for public comment. So 9, moving to village president's report, agenda items. So we're gonna do all 3 at once kind of. So we'll do A, LRS community update. We'll do B, discussion on moving Maywood Forward Together update, and the discussion on economic development update, because it's all in one presentation. So with that being said, I'm gonna start with one video from LRS. Everyone knows starting April 1st, we started with our new LRS company. So what we're doing is rolling out a series of different videos to make sure that the transition 30 days in has been a smooth one. So each week we'll highlight a different video of a 5 video series. 5 or 6. And looking forward to the one video. And then we actually have Mr. Strom here who will speak in regards to what's been going on the past 30 days.
Hello, I am Mayor Nathaniel George Booker. As most of you know, on April 1st of this year, the Village of Maywood started services with LRS, one of the largest independently owned waste and recycling haulers in America and Chicagoland's premier provider of services. I'd like to review some of the new services and aspects of LRS, in particular, this week's topic, your new waste and recycling carts. By now, you should have received your brand new LRS waste and recycle cart. Your garbage cart is 95 gallons, which will easily accommodate 7 to 10 13-gallon waste bags. If you have additional bags, you can simply leave them at the side of the cart for removal. Residents are also encouraged to reach out to LRS at service@lrsrecycles.com or by calling 844-NEED-LRS if they would like an additional waste or recycling cart at a monthly $3 per cart charge. Your recycling cart will be slightly smaller at 65 gallons. Please note, all Maywood residents are encouraged to use only brown paper bags for their recyclables, as plastic bags cannot be recycled and may be taken as garbage. Loose recycling items should be kept to a minimum as a means to keep Maywood as clean and litter-free as possible. You will notice that there is an updated list of recycling guidelines molded into each recycling cart to help as a guide. You can also log on to lrsrecycles.com for the most up-to-date information on recycling, waste, yard waste, and more. Lastly, if your cart is stolen or lost, please reach out to service@lrsrecycles.com or call 844-NEED-LRS to schedule delivery of a new cart. Thank you.
That said, we'll bring up Mr. George Strong to give us an update in regards to how the first 30 days of the transition has gone and where we're going beyond.
Let's see if this is on here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Press the button.
All right, let's see here.
Hopefully this is working.
There you
Perfect.
go.
All right, thank you so much. Again, my name is George Strong. I'm Vice President of Municipal Services for LRS. And yes, as you well know, about a month ago, we began kind of the rollout of the LRS containers. So the major difference in the program was that LRS was going to be providing everybody with a 65-gallon recycling cart, where previously most residents either had a 32-gallon can or a 12-gallon tub. So we felt like this would be a great opportunity for them to get additional capacity for recycling and brand new carts that had been, in most cases, 15 to 20 years old, the existing carts. So we were able to finish pretty much everybody on time. Some of the challenges that we came to find in the first early on week or so was that the previous waste hauler had been in the working for the Village of Maywood for several decades. So a lot of residents over time had come across a few extra carts, potentially, or rented carts. So they may have had 2, 3, 4 at their house. So we did have some issues where some of the carts were delivered, because at each home when they get dropped off, we write down the serial number and it's logged to that address. So we did have a lot of residents calling saying their carts that had been delivered were missing. And so we went ahead and delivered them another set of carts, even if they were reported as delivered. So what we're going to be doing in the summer is we'll be doing a full audit on collection days to determine where maybe some of those missing carts ended up, and then either retrieving those or setting those addresses up to be invoiced for the $3 a month, because it is pretty reasonable to be charged just a little bit extra. I looked at kind of the missed pickup information, so some of the challenges there when residents have carts from the other hauler, we're asking those be logged, we write them down, and then we ask the old hauler to come pick them up. But for this past, so the third week of collection, because the first 2 weeks we were getting a lot of complaints about you didn't dump the old company's cart. We don't normally like to dump the old company's carts because they're not ours, and if we damage them, the resident could make a complaint, or the old hauler could make a complaint against us. So we just ask that residents use the new carts they have. So for the third week of collection, we had a total of 14 missed pickups. So if you think about 3 streams that are being collected, about 6,400 houses times 3, you're looking at about a 99.7% collection rate, which I think is pretty good. This past week we had only 12 missed pickups, so that's still above 99.8% basically being collected on time. So just a couple of pieces that I wanted to note. We did put a lot of the things that we differentiate ourselves. Our marketing materials, such as this video, we feel that working with the municipal client, it helps the residents understand this is a local approach. It's not a LRS rep that's doing the videos. We like to have someone from the village participate in that, because it lets residents know that this is something that their village stands behind, and it helps them participate even more. So we really want now that you've got a larger capacity for recycling. We want the residents to know that that's something that we really encourage them to use. And we're going to continue on educational videos, mailers, literature,
anything that we can do to possibly increase recycling participation, because a big part of this agreement was that the village pays the disposal per ton. So the less disposal the village has, the more the residents participate in recycling. Basically, the more the village is going to save and the residents do save. So that's a big thing, and might I add, from a local perspective, all the material that's gathered here goes to our transfer and recycling center that's located in Maywood. So you do get also host fee revenue from that, and some local employment there as well. Lastly, just to wrap up, we do have a dedicated website specific to the Village of Maywood on our LRS webpage. One thing that we've kind of talked about is getting a link on the Maywood website, so residents that come to the Maywood page can easily find their way over to the LRS page to get any information that they're looking for. We do have some rental trucks too out there. Just to summarize, I know a couple people had commented that some of the trucks that we have may not be the best ones specific to what you're looking for, but we've made the correction and the changes for some of the alley to use rear loaders versus front load. But as many of you probably know, the supply chain is very kind of upside down right now. So we had to make do the first week or so with a couple rental trucks, and now we're using LRS vehicles in the alleys and the rental front loaders in a curbside service. So over time, in the next probably 60 to 90 days, you'll start to really see a lot more of the blue LRS trucks rather than the white premier rental trucks. So anyway, I can go on forever, but I just want to let you know, I think it's going pretty well, and any questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
Mayor, is there one of trustees that just...
Can you briefly discuss for the community about the grass clippings and that stuff, mulch?
Absolutely. So that did start April 1st. So you've got April 1st through, I believe, the end of November is your yard waste collection. So it should be basically the same as you had before. Your bags, you can put out just how you did before. If you have a 32-gallon can that's under 50 pounds, you put that out. It's unlimited collection. And then another thing just to mention, in this program now it is, you're able to put 2 bulk items out per pickup rather than before it was only 1. And that would suffice those the massive junk away days that really are kind of blighted, I think, in the community when you have, 2 weeks a year where there's just mountains of garbage out. Now the residents can get rid of it that week, so they don't have to hold it in their garage for, 6 months out of the year.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon?
Yes, I've heard some concerns about the quality of the cans versus the other cans that we had. So they appear to be more flimsier, so to say, or the material that was utilized for the can. So I would just suggest or recommend that we look at that, because the replacement of those cans could be quite frequent if they, it's not starting.
So one of the next things just to mention is, since they're an LRS card, if there is any damage or breakage that occurs, we will swap them out for no charge. So if a resident does have any damage or a broken cart or any concerns, they can reach out to us either through the 844-NEED-LRS or just reach out on the webpage, and they'll get the container swapped out. The brand that we use is Toter, which is, if you look at the carts that are made now versus when the Republic carts were made previously, just in general, the weight of the material has come down because of all the vendors are kind of under strict regulations and trying to have less plastic in the carts. So it is a little bit lighter than it was, 15, 20 years ago, but they have a 10-year warranty. So all of our carts have 10-year warranties, so if they do break or have damage and we replace them, it shouldn't be a big deal.
All right.
Okay.
Someone who threw out 2 bulk items this morning, I thank you very much for not having to keep it in my basement.
I just have to say, we do a lot of implementations in our line of business. We're an aggressively growing company, and from our whole team and the local Maywood team, our customer support team is in Rosemont, and I just have to say it's been a pleasure working with the village. I don't say that if I didn't have to, meaning I actually mean it. I think that y'all have been a great partner, and I hope we've been able to do the same. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be working with you and keep the lines of communication open so we can make sure we deliver the value to the residents. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so continuing just showcasing different aspects of community development or just partnership in moving the Village of Maywood forward. We kicked off our Aging in a Changing Region meetings. So with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, along with the Metropolitan Council for Agency of Planning, along with the Retirement Research Foundation. We were selected, the Village of Maywood was selected to get a free study in regards to aging in a changing region. So with Aging in a Changing Region, we partnered with the Oak Park Regional Housing Authority. We have representatives from our Planning and Zoning Commission. We have representatives from our Senior Services team as well as staff. And we also have some of our senior citizens throughout the Village of Maywood, along with our Park District and, you'll see in the photos, our Community Engagement Manager. So this process that we're going through will take about 5 to 6 months to come out with the study. The study's focused on not only from a housing standpoint, when you think about aging in a friendly community, what does it look like for the future, discussing the thought process in regards to what stores, what services, what green space, as we're advancing into bike lanes and different street repairs and different things like that, all encompassing the thought process in regards to Metropolitan Planning Council and the Retirement Research Foundation. So the biggest part of the study is actually not the group, it's just a focus group that meets, but the residents will have a survey that goes out in regards to aging in a changing region. That survey should be coming out for our senior citizens during the month of June. And then during the month of July, we've partnered with an agency called Max Corp, which will be employing about 20 to 30 students throughout the summer, where they'll be paid $15 an hour for 20 hours a week for a 13-week period during the summer season. Well, they'll be going door to door and retrieving this information from our residents. And the study really comes and gets put together from the Retirement Research Foundation and the CMAP in regards to what the residents have said. And then they'll give us that study so that we can present it and discuss it in different ways of how to move the Village of Maywood forward. Another representative I also forgot was Loyola University, that's also in regards to it. So I just wanted to give everyone an update in regards to that. So there was a meeting with Lieutenant Governor Stratton. So Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton is the actual chair for the R3 funding. So R3 funding is reinvest, restore, and renew in regards to the cannabis money that comes into the state of Illinois. The Village of Maywood, through various different partners, have received funding in regards to the R3. Those representatives will be at the state of Maywood to discuss what they've done with the state funding that they've received. But she wanted to know in regards to what was going on in the Village of Maywood, so we gave her an overview of how we've done great things in partnership with various different people. And she also will be working right now to schedule a day where she's going to come out to the Village of Maywood to see the progress and see the product and see the different activities that have gone on within the R3 funding. So that is something to definitely look out for. Again, I spoke before about our federally qualified health center. So in discussing the federally qualified health center, the goal of the federally qualified health center is in partnership with Congressman Danny K. Davis. Congressman Danny K. Davis has a lot of FQHCs throughout his district. He actually has the most health facilities in any congressional district in the nation. So with working with Congressman Davis's office, we're working to identify what all would go into a federally qualified health center. So the federally qualified health center is focused more so on proactive health versus the reactive health. So the site that we went and toured was the Lymedale Christian Health Center. In the Lymedale Christian Health Center, there is a gym, there is a healthy foods cafe, they have a green garden, they have a green garden that's attached to a small grocery store that they operate. They have a pharmacy that gives discounts in regards to medicine. They have a senior center, they have a women's center, they have a child center, they have a dental facility, they have pregnancy assistance. So we're looking at bringing those things and more in regards to the Village of Maywood. The various different partners that are focused on the FQHC program include again Trinity Health, which owns Loyola, as well as Gottlieb Hospital. We also have the Community Equity Response Collaborative that traditionally was known as COVID Equity Response Collaborative. The Illinois Department of Public Health is partnering with us on this, as well as the Cook County Department of Public Health, Proviso Township, the Above and Beyond Family Recovery Center, and Loyola Stands Against Gun Violence. So this study, again, will take about 6 months, so that study should be coming up by the end of the year. So this is something that we're definitely excited about, and we look forward to providing the research and information in regards to what came out of these studies. We launched the Exploring program. So in launching of the Exploring program, we did a kickoff at the Maywood Park District. Exploring program is a program which focuses on 12 different aspects of career exploration. So when looking at different aspects of career exploration, the tables were set up for each individual to be able to see law enforcement, medical enforcement, aviation, business, STEM, agriculture, various different aspects of different things that you can participate and include with. So some of our partners that will be working with this program that has been funded through some R3 funding for youth development and youth violence prevention will be the Maywood Police Department, DOD Youth for Youth, that's a 501c3, the Firehouse Dream, Proviso Community Bank, Ex-Cons for Community and Social Change, the Boy Scouts of America, the University of Illinois Campus Extended Campus, Loyola University, the Maywood Fire Department, RISE, Tech Immersion Programming, Joseph Business School, drone events, and a lot of other activities that go into this. So again, for any youth between the ages of 13 to 20, you sign up just by going to bit.ly/Maywood Exploring. And then it'll be prompted to just ask you name, address of the parent, and the age of the child, and then somebody will be in touch with you and go to get you signed up. Other aspects, we did have the promotion of the Proviso Community Bank that launched their business investment program. So with the business investment program, it's a micro loan that Proviso Community Bank, which is a OneTrust bank, is partnering with the village to make sure that this is exclusively for the village of Maywood. And when we say exclusively for the village of Maywood, no other resident or no other business not in the 60153 can benefit from this loan program. It's a low interest loan that can give you renovations. So if you're investing in your business, if you are growing your business, if you're trying to establish your business, the requirements in regards to getting the loan are not that hard, but you do have to at least be within a lease of at least 3 more years, or be the actual owner of the facility and be within good standing with the village of Maywood to apply. So if you are interested as a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a future business owner, you can go over to the Proviso Community Bank, which everyone knows is right on the 11th block of Madison. So if you just go over to the Proviso Community Bank, you'll have Jose or Chris Parker that will be able to assist you in regards to that. At this event, we also had our Commissioner Frank Aguilar from Cook County, who came and gave some ideas and some thought processes in the way that Cook County is going to be assisting as well. So make sure that you, if you haven't attended our every third Thursday business lunch and learns, he'll be presenting some different aspects that are coming from a business assistant standpoint. We also were able to tour the Impact facility. So Impact is a company that we received a couple of, a month or so ago, a survey in regards to what they had came to the village of Maywood to experience of what we are going through within our cybersecurity as well as our technology upgrades that are needed. While we were at the National League of Cities, Congressman Danny K. Davis called his friend, who is the Chief Diversity Officer, Bill Jacobs, for Impact. And we, Trustee Peppers and myself, went out and took a tour of the facility, got a great understanding of what they're trying to offer to the village of Maywood. It was amazing to see everything that they have been able to do and everything that they plan to continue to do throughout different communities as far as youth engagement, as far as partnership. So we're really looking forward to this, and we're looking forward to seeing what that can come from. Other than that, the last thing that I'm going to showcase is a video. So we've all had the conversation in regards to the old Baptist home that's being renovated right now, that's going to have the 100 housing for assisted living for our senior citizens. So with that being said, I'm going to showcase the video, and then that will complete the report.
I'm Scott Henry. I'm one of the founding principals of Celadon Partners. Right now we're standing on the ground floor of the Maywood Supported Living Facility in one of the future offices of the administrative staff. I think the most important thing about this project and many projects that Celadon works on is just the impact to the community. This particular neighborhood was already on the upswing, but the building here was the thing holding back the neighborhood. What really makes us tick is being able to come into a community and bring life back into a building like this and see how that breathes life into the rest of the neighborhood.
I'm Aaron Weisner. I'm one of the principals and the chief operating officer of Celadon Partners. Moving forward with construction here, it's really like restoring the core to this city, to this village here. Our partnership with Skender has been incredibly important to maintaining this property and improving it in ways that we didn't even envision. For example, we ended up finding a lot more deterioration in one of the wings than we anticipated. Instead of just trying to hold it together as best we could, we took a step back, we convened with our design team and with the Skender team. We came up with a adjustment in our plan that involved the entire replacement of that wing to make sure that we have a product in the end that's ultimately going to stand the test of time.
My name is Josephine Gomez. I go by Josie. I am the Director of Special Projects for Celadon Partners. From the 4 years that I've been coming to the building and that seeing the vision and oh my gosh, now this is ours. It was so exciting, and I'm very emotional, and I was out there looking, and all I kept saying to my husband was like, oh my God, this is really happening, and we're gonna do it. And when the first resident walks through, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I think that all the work, I will sit back and think of all the work that went into it. It was for something.
All right, so when we talk about moving Maywood forward together, when we talk about economic development, we talk about various different updates that go towards bringing unity within our community, I truly pray that we can become all more engaged in regards to the positive things that are going on within the village of Maywood, because from some of the comments to say that nothing's happening or it's going backwards, I would definitely disagree with that, and look forward to showcasing more at the State of Maywood on May 21st. Next, or do any other trustees have any questions? I'm sorry. Trustee Peppers.
Yeah, I'd just like to make an announcement. I want to acknowledge the life and legacy of our former chief, James Stinson, transition. Great man, great chief. And I just want to acknowledge him right now. God bless him in his family.
Amen. Okay. There was a question about that, but I wasn't quite sure, so let's give a moment of silence in regard, because you literally just asked about it. So a moment of silence, please. Thank you. All right, so 9D is discussion of Village of Maywood website. I'm going to pull this item because there's actually two presenters that weren't able to present tonight, so we'll bring that to the next committee as a whole so that they can actually have the opportunity to present. So that will take us, Savage, you can come pull up item 9E, discussion on the newsletter communication and budget. So as Manager Savage is coming up, pull that up. Again, this is something that we discussed at the last committee as a whole. We talked about it at the last board meeting, but it was advised that the village manager wasn't present to speak in regards to it. So I just want to give a review and then give the opportunity for if there is anything that the village manager would like to say before we try to move forward with this.
Give me the bag.
All right. So in looking at the Maywood Community Newsletter, It is a monthly newsletter publication that goes out to our residents in regards to showcasing the positive things that are happening throughout the village of Maywood. So, in the positive things that are going on throughout the village of Maywood, as you guys saw last month, we had a meeting with the residents in regards to elements of a healthy community. We celebrated the opening of Legends. We talked about various things that are going on positive in park and recreation. And we talked about the carjacking task force in which we were brought on. There was also a community calendar that's shared on a monthly standpoint, and also showcased that the residents of the village of Maywood were presented 100 tickets to go to two Bulls games. So that was a great thing to highlight. We did discuss the LRS transition, as well as celebrating the first quarter with 0 homicides in over 4 years. So that was a great thing to celebrate during the first quarter of the year, to have 0 homicides and have double-digit drops within our other areas of public safety statistics, but also showcase arrests that have taken place in regards to things that make our community a safer place. We highlighted walking through and having tours of different facilities, working in partnership with the Jobs and Trades Fair, Willie Wilson giving away gas that gave gas to over 450 vehicles, as well as discussing meetings with the mayor that we had at Miracle Revival last month. We advertised in regards to the business facade microloan program that they were working on, as well as different highlights that showcase the different various unity in the communities, as well as our partnership with PASO, which is the West Suburban Action Project that's working with our Hispanic community that meets every fourth Wednesday. We advertised in regards to our Loyola Stands Against Gun Violence 3rd annual summit that they had, and we also highlighted different things in regards to infrastructure. So for those who were talking about the different infrastructure projects, if you haven't had a chance to see those, you can most certainly ask Ms. Banks to get a copy in regards to the newsletter, and we'll make sure that you're able to review everything, because it talks about the storm drains, it talks about the water mains, it talks about asphalt, concrete, drainage improvements, as well as alley improvements as well. Highlighted, talking about our Maywood Housing Collaborative that is being worked on to focus on some of the blighted areas that we have within the village of Maywood and some of the abandoned homes that are on different blocks. We also, again, pushed for people for the spring fling, as well as the Easter egg hunt, as well as the launch of the business improvement breakfast. We showcased the opening of Allure, we showcased the opening of Legends, as well as the Kingston Market, and we talked about the Exploring Program launch. Village Pride Village Wide, as you all know, has been moved to May 14th, so we look forward to all of those who would like to participate in that. Again, showcasing more of our unity and community, so launching youth summer programming. So for youth who want summer jobs, we highlighted the PT Man Youth Summer Job Initiative that they're right now taking applications on, as well as highlighting some more great things taking place within our community. Photos that you see from the 200 building that was not readily available to our residents. We had this past weekend the Partners for a Healthy Community, where there were over 40 different community partners that came to showcase different health. So we look forward to showcasing that in the future. Again, we did highlight the different positions that were posted for the Village of Maywood at that time, as well as still providing information in regards to COVID testing, as well as vaccinations for those who need it. We talked about the My Civic app, which is where our residents can report issues in real time, take pictures, and have GPS of where exactly they are. And then we also talked about the launch of our new Homeland Security and Emergency Management team. So that is kind of the feel in regards to community news, sharing things that are going on within the Village of Maywood from a Village Hall standpoint, but also things that are going on throughout the community. So again, these were the reports that we've been talking about. These reports have been requested from the village manager for about 6 months now. So it definitely was requested in the fourth quarter of 2022. So in looking at building and code departments, fire department, police department, as well as public works and different things like that, once we're able to get that reporting and the community engagement manager is able to get it from the departments that she's not currently able to get it from, then we'll be able to add some more of those types of things within the report. So we look forward to sharing more in our community news of what's going on at Village Hall once we actually receive the reports that we've been requesting information in regards to. Again, at the last meeting, I did highlight from a village president standpoint and a board standpoint, our job is to respond to constituents' complaints, communicate policies and programs to residents, and to represent the community on all levels. When you look at the community engagement manager's role, her role as right now, which was literally the position that was posted, that's under the president and board of trustees, is to handle external communication. So she coordinates external communications, she enhances internal communications, and work with outside agencies to include the media to build and improve relations. So she plans, develops, organizes, manages, and administers significant programs and activities to support the village goals of community engagement, including in the areas of community information, outreach, and social media. You guys also see the village manager role, which is day-to-day operations and facilities management. So that is not external communications. The only employee that is under the board of trustees and mayor's line item is our community engagement manager. So what we're looking at right now is the ask to move the $30,000 of a budget line item out of the village manager's budget line into the mayor and board of trustees line item, because our community engagement manager is under our budget line item and should be given that budget so that we can make sure that our community news is given out. One of the other things that we are very proud of in partnership is the different collaborations that are going to allow us to not only provide a digital newsletter every month moving forward, but a monthly mailer. So in regards to the monthly mailer, we have various different partners that are going to be providing finances and resources to make sure that they are doing page buy ads in regards to things that are going on throughout the community through various grants and different things that have been written. So it's not saying that we're going to afford the whole expense of the monthly mailer, but through partnership, we'll be able to do the mailer each month. The mailer each month is roughly $6,000 to $7,000 when you include mailing to over 8,500 businesses and homes, as well as the postage that takes up a lot of the money. But that's where we are in regards to the thought of it. The community newsletter is something that is put together from partnership throughout our various governing bodies, our nonprofit organizations, and different concerned residents, of information that's put together that, again, is not part of the regular day-to-day operations. And then when we talk about, I'm not trying to be funny, but when we talk about everything that was in our community newsletter, I just want everybody, as we're talking about this for the 4th time, I believe, we're going to look at, when we say we want to get the opinion from the village manager. So when she was the village president of Kankakee, her newsletter was a one-pager. Each month, it was only one page. So as we provide information, it was literally 20 pages of information and community. So when we look at it from the standpoint of, do we really want just one page of information, or work with the community and work with our various different partners to continue to provide the information? And it wasn't my goal to put this up, but we literally are talking about this at a meeting for the 4th time. So the goal realistically is to say, this is a conversation about a budget line item. The Maywood Community Newsletter will continue regardless, but I am asking that we move the budget line item to be under the appropriate department. That's literally the only ask.
Mayor,
Trustee Brandon.
so this was asked to come to our committee to give a recommendation on this particular item. And our committee gave a recommendation on this particular item, and our liaison is Ms. Banks. And so based upon what is happening and based upon us really wanting to see the village manager operate in her full role when it relates to day-to-day operation of the village, our recommendation was that the newsletter stay under the purview of the village manager. The reason why the newsletter is there for historical purposes is so that it can remain unbiased, it can remain from having a political frame, and it just keeps it in the neutral hands of someone who's supposed to serve in like a neutral role, and that is the village manager. And so it was our vote was to keep it under her purview, simply because we haven't seen her being able to really operate it fully. And it's, really, to me, I just believe that that's where it belongs, and that's why the purpose is, it has always been there, not under or not with any particular elected official. And I believe that it still belongs there. That's the safest place for it to be under the purview of the village manager. And so I've listened to this, and you said the 4th time. Yes, because you continue to try to force this and push this whole issue. That's why we've been talking about it so long, a newsletter. And just listen to this whole litany of reasons that you just presented. It was like, no, we gave direction. We told you at the last meeting that we want the village manager to handle this, and it just seems like we're just playing, we're just going in circles with this issue. We need to move on and let her do her job and move forward. That's just it. Then you just put a list of all these things and talk about 30 minutes about this newsletter. It isn't that serious. It is not that serious. We can move on, let her do her job, and continue.
All right, so thank you for that comment, trustee. One thing I just want to provide, again, is clarity. There's never been anything under the Board of Trustee reports in regards to the newsletter for recommendation brought to this board. So if it's something that you discussed in your committee, it's never been put on a board packet for discussion. That's a fact. When, trustee, I definitely let you speak.
Okay.
When we talk about the previous newsletter, it went out twice a year. It was not a monthly newsletter. It was a twice a year newsletter of specifically the village of Maywood as what's going on at Village Hall, not what's going on in the community as a whole. So the community newsletter that we now have, that we've had for a year, that if you're saying you discussed it in a committee meeting for a year, you most certainly have not come to me and said anything about, and trustee, I'll let you speak. When I say you didn't come to me or you didn't say anything to me, it's because we've had the first newsletter came out in June of last year. So to say if there's something political in either one of the articles or either one of the newsletters, then please showcase it. But to make that statement without showcasing on this month, on this page, I felt that that was political. It's kind of a statement that you're just making. When we talk about trustee, I did not interrupt you. Please do not interrupt me. So when we talk about a full community newsletter versus a one-pager that we can see, you're saying give her a chance. Well, trustee, I am certainly not going to keep getting interrupted by you. Like, I let you speak. Can you allow me to speak? Right? So for me, when we have this conversation, it's literally me asking for a budget line item to be moved. It's not asking me who's going to present the newsletter. I will continue to do the Maywood Community Newsletter with or without this budget line item.
Okay.
My little question or a request that this board has not voted yay or nay on has been, we reduced the budget line item from $40,000 to $30,000 because, for factual standpoint, the previous community newsletter was put together by Ms. Rhonda Sherrod, who got paid for out of the mayor's office to do the writing. It was put together by the same company and the same woman who puts together the Melrose Park neighborhood newsletter. The village manager did not put together the previous newsletter. And then when you also look at it, even the person who worked with Melrose Park to put out the newsletter was the director of community development, not the village manager. It was David Myers. So for you to give this narrative that the village manager's office always put together the newsletter is simply not true.
So that's sir.
Okay.
He gave direction to David Myers.
So what is the lie?
He gave direction to the community.
Trustee, one, again, you're out of order. But even in the statement that you made, you said he directed Dave Myers, meaning the village manager didn't put it together, right?
Right.
So again, my simple request is the $30,000 line item be changed to the actual person who created a role of community engagement manager. The community engagement manager role did not exist in the previous administration. We all can clearly see what the job description of the community engagement manager is. This $30,000 most certainly should be under the budget line item that she works under. And I'll rest my case at that. But as I said, I'll continue with the Maywood Community News. It's literally asking for the budget line item.
She's here, let her speak. She's here.
So, trustee, again, you're out of line.
Oh.
Okay.
So, Manager Wells Armstrong, if there's anything that you would like to say.
Good evening. This microphone is really bad, I'm sorry. As you all know, I came on board June 9th of 2021, and the mayor had already created a job description, which I'm not even sure that's what the mayor is supposed to be doing for jobs, and already working on putting out the newsletter that went out in June because of the water report. There's been a back and forth on this issue. As you can see, I've pushed back to be able to do my job, and he keeps pushing back as well, which is what he's been doing with the board. My understanding from the staff is that the newsletter was not monthly, and I think that there is a distinction here of the mayor's news and what he's wanting to talk about with things that are happening in the community versus the operational needs and what we're doing, the activity that's going on operations. Who's in charge of departments, what programs are, available, services and that sort of thing. So I think it's two different things. I'm interpreting that the mayor is wanting to talk about what's happening in the community. This newsletter focuses more on what's happening at Village Hall. The village manager is the non-biased person. I have stressed that since I've been here and received backlash on that as well. It allows the departments to highlight their work. There's a lot of false narratives, several that I heard this evening that are completely false. But if we are putting out the information, the people that are there every day working in the departments, then we can put out the accurate information. The board is certainly welcome to submit suggestions. We just had our budget season. I believe we started that cycle the end of January, February. We have met with department heads. I have given updates in my weekly updates to this board about the budget process. We are just now starting our new fiscal year, May 1, and we're talking about moving a budget line item. There was no discussion on this during budget season. We've met with, like I said, several department heads. We met with the Fiscal Accountability and Government Transparency Committee, had conversations with them about this budget. We've had a public hearing. We filed the budget with the clerk. And I'm actually excited because this is my first budget. When I came here, I was under a different administration's budget, but this is our budget. Our department heads have put this together. We've worked very hard. We've been very focused on things that we want to get done, and I would like to be able to fulfill my role. If there's sponsors, and the mayor certainly, has the privy to put out his own newsletter, the sponsors can support that. But I believe that there should be unbiased news, and I believe there should be news coming from the operations side of what's going on in the Village Hall and in the community.
Okay. So again, I just want to reiterate.
And as far as my newsletter in Kankakee, we did multiple things for outreach. I had mingle with the mayor sessions. We were on social media. We did a lot of different things. I didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to have, a 30-page, 20-page document with 45 pictures of me in it. We did put links in the newsletter to different articles and various things that were going on in the community. But we utilized a lot of different activities and modes to communicate. I was on the radio once a month. We did a lot of different things to touch the community and reach out to residents to let them know what was going on.
Does that complete your statement?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
So again, just for clarity with the digs, even if you look on this one page, aside from my report, I am in one of these photos out of every photo that you see. Out of this entire report, there's over 60 photos. I'm in less than 8 of them. So to say that I am in every photo is simply not true. The other thing I will say is I've been asking for these reports from staff, or from you specifically, since the fourth quarter of last year. So to say I'm trying to just give community news, when now in the month of May, for 6 months I've been asking you for this information. I've sent you these documents as editable Word documents and asked your opinions about them for 6 months.
Mayor.
So for you to say that it's not being requested to be able to communicate to the residents is simply not true. But again, I will digress. As I said before, the Maywood Community Newsletter will continue. We will continue to request information from the village manager so that we can report the different information to our residents. I look forward to being able to report the information to our residents once the reports that I've been requesting for 6 months, even if it's not this report, but the information for 6 months, if I could get that. that would be great. If it wants to be said that the reports were not requested, and
Mayor.
okay, so I just want to be clear, it was requested, right? And we haven't received it.
So I just need to make clear, you have come up with a list of things that you're requesting. I have not received direction from the board. I work for the board. I work for 7 people.
Thank you.
We will create our documents on the operations side. We're working on that, of how we're going to report information and what works for us. So we are working on that, and that's been reported to you. But this is a request from you, not the full board. I have never been given goals by the board.
Right, I agree with that, but they're not doing anything. They're sitting there.
So we are working on this particular item. There's several things that we are working on as an operations team.
Can you come pull up the next presentation, Marvin? Wait, I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll call Trustee Reyes Plummer. Then I'll call Trustee. Oh, Trustee Jones. Gotcha. I'll give me one moment. So to say that a mayor can't know how many carjackings we've had, you said it's not coming from the board, but it is coming from me.
We need to stop.
So I would
We
say,
really need to
Trustee
stop.
Reyes Plummer, what would you like to
We
say?
have to stop. This
What would
is
you like to
going
say?
too far.
I agree.
Every meeting we come in here and it's who can do what better, we have to stop.
I agree.
It's too much.
I agree.
We're going off a topic. We're not talking about what's in the agenda and actually staying focused to that. We need to stay focused to that and that only. At this point, it's gone too far. I could do this better than you. You could do this better than me. You haven't done this. You haven't done. That's not. It's not this time. It's not for right now.
I agree. Sure.
We have to stop.
I agree. Trustee Reyes Plummer, do you know how many homicides we've had? Do you know how many burglaries we've had? Do you know how many robbers we've had? I think we would like to know that information. I think the residents would like to know that information. So I'll go to the next line item.
Thank you.
But to say we have to stop, I agree. If we could just get the reports, it would definitely stop it.
The police provide
So,
a report every month.
So as we look at opportunities within the village of Maywood, so these normally would have been conversations had in regular meetings that I did have with the village manager. These would have been conversations that would have happened during capital planning meetings that I would have had with the village directors, and it would have been conversations that would have been had overall. But as we are now only communicating via email, the conversation that was given back to me when I submitted these photos and asked for updates in regards to them was, is this coming from the full board or just you? And my interpretation is, regardless if I'm the mayor or if I'm a resident, these items matter. So, when you look at the graffiti that's been at the golf range for a year now, definitely looking for, I guess, board direction to get it cleaned up, because we've definitely been discussing it and photos have been shown for a year. When we talk about cleanup of properties that the village of Maywood owns, we're providing fines and tickets to residents and businesses, but we're not cleaning up our own space. We've had residents complain about this, and this has been in my Civic for nearly a year. Even if we don't have the pole to be able to replace it, it most certainly should not be looking like that right across from the metro station. Still waiting for updates. Again, as we're looking at our First Avenue corridor and selling businesses, the first thing that you see when you get off the expressway is graffiti. That needs to be cleaned up. When we talk about the abandoned homes, we've talked about it multiple times in regards to how First Avenue is more being turned from Madison to Harrison into an actual commercial fairway. So these homes that are blighted need to be torn down. Requests and updates have been asked and requested in regards to that. But because I'm the mayor asking for it, not the entire board, I'm not allowed to know. When we look at the Smiley's Auto Group, this property is $2.2 million behind in its taxes and has abandoned cars just sitting in it. And I've spoken about it on multiple occasions of getting that area and that lot cleaned up. Again, looking for board direction, since I, as the mayor, cannot get a response. There was fences knocked down on Roosevelt. These fences are still knocked down today. When you look at them, there's supposed to be construction going on at the Shell's gas station. The construction has halted, but due to the wind, the fencing has been knocked down. People should not have to look at that as they're driving down Roosevelt as a representation of the village of Maywood. Again, this information has been shared on multiple occasions. Nothing has changed. When we talk about trash on our main fairways and our commercial corridors, and asking for those things to be cleaned up, again, I'm asking for those things to be cleaned up. I'm providing these photos, and they're still there today. You can look at the trash still on the streets. Same thing in regards to our cleanup of our train station. The train station is the responsibility of the Village of Maywood within our agreement with Metro. We need to take responsibility for it and keep it cleaned up. We talked about bringing new signage, and we've let go of people who were at the information desk. Yes, that is one nice new sign, but we still have all of these raggedy paper signs everywhere and cardboard boxes in front of the windowsill. That's not a good reflection of Maywood. That's not a good reflection of a business that comes into place, and it most certainly is something that needs to be addressed and taken care of. Again, you guys can go onto the list of various things. These are just a couple of photos, but again, there is a list that talks about all of the opportunities that exist from this village and this administration and our village manager that has received this information on several occasions, some of them for months, even into last year, with no action. And as you guys just saw, the answer is this coming from the mayor or the entire board? I don't know any picture that I just showed you that a simple resident could show to a village manager and get a response from in a community. So at this point, I guess I'm looking for board direction in regards to the information that gets submitted to the village manager. How would you like for her to proceed, since she needs full board direction on very obvious things that need to be handled within day-to-day operations? Village Manager Wills Armstrong.
Okay, so I think you are exaggerating. Some of the items, like the poll, was not in the budget. We did respond to that. And it's been prioritized to get that poll ordered. The graffiti, I have spoken with Director West about. We just met yesterday. I have spoken with him. Every time you bring it to my attention, I have brought it to his attention and spoken to him about it. We are aware that these are priority items and they will be addressed.
Okay. As long as they're going to get addressed, that's all I'm looking for.
Director West up.
This is enough of this. This is crazy. We need to see what the agenda.
These items are the agenda. Because they've been emails and meetings.
Point of order.
I just want to be clear on that.
Can we,
But
please,
Director,
accept control?
Good evening, Mayor, Board. So the items that have been shown in the slide, the poll at 5th and St. Charles, I have been in contact with Gray Bar. The order time for that poll is 7 to 10 weeks. We're just waiting on the actual price. The poll previous, when we ordered it a few years ago, was $8,000 total per poll. So now I just need to know what the upgrade is, because everything in COVID has been upgraded at least 3 to 10%. So once I know the number, then we can go ahead and move on that poll and try to get at least 2 of them, because there are at least 4 of them that are down, those particular polls. The graffiti is something we've had a lot of rain over the last 3 weeks. So as soon as we can get a little bit of dry spell, we'll be out dealing with the graffiti over at the golf range. The areas that you showed with the trash up and down, I've met with my staff, my lands and buildings group twice in the last 3 days. So they are aware of what things we need to be trying to address, as well as the things that we won't have to really work on too difficult this year. So, and part of the IGA agreements. So we'll be working on these items. Village manager and I have had consistent communication on the matter, so we'll be working on it.
thank you, Director. Again, it's just these items have been reported on multiple times last week, so it's good to see that it got put on a board packet, so now we're having a discussion. But I would like to not have to put it on a board packet. And it's not to you, Director, but in general, I would not like to have to put something on a board packet as simple as graffiti and trash to have it addressed. That's all I'll say about that. All right, so we'll go to 10, Village Manager Report and Agenda. Just A, discussion and consideration for Beacon Hill Staffing Group temporary employment. Manager Wells Armstrong.
Are we not using them? We're not using them. Okay, Mayor, we're not using them.
Okay, so we'll pull 10A, 10B, appointments of village engineer.
apologies. Okay. So, under our form of government, which is in Article 5, statutory manager form of government, the village manager has the authority to appoint various positions, and the village engineer is one, and treasurer. So, when I came on board, I met with Bill Peter Hansen from Hancock, had a great conversation about some of the needs in the village, some of the things they've been able to accomplish, and some other things that we need to do and to be aggressive going after various grants. So as we work to operate within our appropriate boundaries, I wanted to go ahead and make the formal recommendation to appoint and fill these two positions. And Hancock Engineering did enclose the letter, and so did the treasurer. So just making the official recommendation.
Thank you, Village Manager. I will say that when we look at, again, thank you, Watchdog, because when we look at the actual code for the Village of Maywood, under 30-03 that says Treasurer, it says that there is hereby created the office of Treasurer of the Village, appointment. The President at the regular meeting in the month of May of each year shall appoint by, with advice and consent of Board of Trustees. So that is actually not the village manager's purview.
And
I just want to be clear on that.
I'm referencing the memo that was authored by the former village attorney, Michael Jerusick, that indicates that it is, so we'll get clarity on that. You haven't made the appointment, so we'll get, if that is the case since May, then we'll get clarity on that.
We're in May. The first board meeting isn't for another 2 weeks. So at the first board meeting, I look forward to appointing our current Mr. Cups, but definitely just want to make sure I'm going by the American Legal Publishing that's on the Village of Maywood's website, that we actually pay to keep our codes up to date, and that is what the ordinance actually says, not an old email. All right.
We know that many of our ordinances are out of date, so we'll confirm that.
Sure. Okay. And looking at 10C, discussion and consideration memo and resolution regarding the sale of Anlap Lot 622, South 12th Avenue, Director Feliciano.
Director Feliciano, if you can come up, please. Thank you.
Village Manager Rose Armstrong.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening, community. I just want to also, if I may, Village Manager, I also want to just respond to something that was not clarified a little earlier today, which is I am one of the new employees that started in February, and I'm very happy and proud to be part of the team at the Village of Maywood. And, can you guys hear me?
No.
Yes.
I can hear you.
I don't press the button.
Okay, is it? Yeah. So I am one of the new employees that started February 28th. Just a little bit about my background. I do have a master's degree in urban planning, community development. I have over 15 years experience working in issues of equity, justice, and also around housing issues. So I just want to also be able to talk about that. I did not get a sign-on bonus, so I don't know where that rumor came about. And as far as I had confirmed with the Director of Finance, no one gets a sign-on bonus. So again, I know that that's not something that was addressed, but I wanted to address it. If you guys want to know anything about community development or what's happening with the village, please feel free to come to Village Hall, and I have an open door policy. I'm here to learn. I started February 28th, and by March 15th, I had moved to Maywood because I believe in being committed to the community that I'm going to work for. So I'm a resident of Maywood. I live in Maywood, and I just registered to vote in Maywood. Okay.
I'll be to see you.
Absolutely, please. I wanted to, one of the items that when I came on board was I met Mrs. Ware, and I had the opportunity to meet with Mrs. Ware, and Mrs. Ware has been a CTA employee for over 20 years. She's also a homeowner here in Maywood, and she had been trying to get the Anlap property that's next to her home because it's one of those, and you guys have that in your packages, it's one of those, like well, not that it's non-buildable, but a portion of the lot that's actually owned by the Village of Maywood is actually her driveway. So she had came in and she wanted to acquire that. I know that she had, had already submitted something. There was no calls being returned to her. So when I came on board, I wanted to make sure that that was one of the issues that got addressed right away. So that's what you guys have before you. The recommendation by the Community Development Department. We did our due diligence. I met with Ms. Ware and her son. And yeah, you guys have any questions?
Would anybody be opposed to putting this on the omnibus agenda at the board meeting for approval? All right, we will definitely get that on the board, on the omnibus agenda for board approval.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. 10D, vehicle purchase for village manager's use. Village manager Wells Armstrong.
Yes, I enclosed a memo. The finance director was contacted by our dealership to be aware that there's a vehicle ready. I downsized. I did not get an Explorer. I asked for a smaller, a mid-size, so it's a Ford Edge. It is available and it's been allocated in the fiscal year 23 budget, and it's under the budget line item.
Only thing I'll look at from this standpoint is we just fired 2 people under your budget line item for nearly $40,000 3 days ago. And now here we are 3 days later talking about a $40,000 car. The village manager, I mean, I look at it from the standpoint, is this a car that will be staying at Village Hall and only be used when you drive into Maywood to pursue business? Because when you think about it from the standpoint of your home round trip is nearly a 50-mile radius. So when you think about it from the standpoint of each month, 1,000 miles and gas before you even work for the Village of Maywood. So 12,000 miles a year, over $4,500 worth of gas simply to drive back and forth to work, not to conduct business of the Village of Maywood. We just had one of the residents talk about the phone system and how people aren't answering. So we removed 2 people for less than $40,000 in your budget line item. And then the 2 people that were eliminated reported to you. They initially reported to HR.
What does this have to do with the topic on the table?
The topic is fiscal responsibility. The village manager lives a round trip 50 miles a day before she gets to work.
It's out of line. Point of order is out. We're talking about the request.
Point of order is on you. Like, it's literally on you. You are out of line. You are out of order.
You are out of line.
So, this is out of order. I give you my response.
He brought that here. So he should have thought about that when he brought out here from Kansas.
You are point of order. Trustee, can we get some more? Can we get some more?
Trustee.
Can we get some more?
Trustee. At the time that she was brought, she did not live in Bolingbrook.
And that's 50 miles.
So I am very well entitled to give my opinion. Where it is a 50-mile-a-day round-trip drive nearly. It would be 12,000 miles a year. That has nothing to do with the Village of Maywood. And it would be over $4,000 worth of gas simply just to drive back and forth to work, not to conduct the business of the Village of Maywood. So it is very fair for me to ask the question, would this car be parked at Village Hall for her to drive back and forth to work in her personal vehicle because it was her personal choice to move where she so chose to? And then if she's conducting the business of Maywood, to drive her car, to drive the Village of Maywood car. That is my comment. So if there's any other comments, Trustee Brand.
Thank you. So, see, this is what happens when a train got off track from the very beginning. And you had residents who are applauding your process in the beginning of how we arrived here to begin with. So in June, when we talked about the whole posting a position, making sure that we were transparent and all of those good things. Those things did not happen. Ms. Shasta Wells Armstrong stood in front of this community and stood in front of this board when I proceeded to ask the questions, are you going to move into the village of Maywood or move into the area that she didn't say that? She responded. Her response was no. And so you guys proceeded anyway based on all of that. And now, since this whole dynamic is happening, you guys are playing, this tick-for-tack situation, and now we're in this conundrum. And so this is what happens when you don't do things the right way from the beginning. And you applied for what you were doing, and the residents were cheering you on for not doing what was right from the beginning, and now we have this whole chaotic situation, not only in the board meetings, but also in emails that we receive almost on a daily basis. And it's a draining process. When you have a full-time job, now you have to babysit the village of Maywood and what's happening, with you all, and then you have to do your job and move forward. It is out of order. It has been out of order, and I've been saying it, but folks have been silent on it, but it's been out of order for a long time, and guess what is now happening? It is now spilling over. It is now spilling over, and the course that we're on needs to be corrected, and this board needs to lead and stop all of this foolishness that's happening on this board and within this community. It is out of order. Out of order. Out of order. No, I'm not even anywhere. I'm connected to
This trustee and Ms. Clay.
She said leave.
So Ms. Clay, Miss Clay, we don't. All right, thank you very much. So, trustee, I couldn't agree with you more. We've had this discussion in regards to the apology that I've given this board and the residents for the selection and the way that it was done. And I pray that you guys can help me rectify it, because I've asked for it for the last 2 months. So, with that being said, does anybody have anything else to say in regards to this vehicle purchase?
Motion to move this item to the full board for consideration at the next meeting.
So you would like to move it to the full board for consideration?
To the next meeting for consideration.
Well, you would like to move it to the board for an official vote or consideration?
Yes, for
okay.
official vote.
So your motion is to, well, we're not making motions.
Oh,
so your recommendation is to move it to the board for consideration?
Yeah.
Trustee Reyes-Plummer, what is your recommendation? You want to come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Jones, we're in the middle of the motion. Oh, we're middle of discussion, right? So Trustee Jones?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Move to the next meeting.
Okay, so Trustee Jones would like it to move it to the board for a vote. Trustee Lightford?
No.
Say that again?
No.
We're not going to move it to the board, okay? And that would be Trustee Peppers?
Yeah, before I respond, I'd like to state a few things in reference to it. I heard the sentiments of Trustee Brandon and yours as well. I do, someone correct me if I'm mistaken, I do recall that she was up for a vehicle at the beginning and she deferred, and then we okayed your vehicle, which the mayor does deserve a vehicle and the village manager does deserve a vehicle. I understand your contingents on her radius and things of that nature back and forth. I don't have a problem with that at all. I would concur with that. But as far as her receiving a vehicle, yeah, we can move that to the next one for a vote, because I'm about representing our town and the position, not the individual, the position as village manager, just as I said, as the position of the mayor deserves a vehicle. Now, stipulations and this and that, we can get to those particulars, but the two positions deserve vehicles.
Okay.
You guys go back to me.
So, Trustee Reyes-Plummer?
It's in her contract, correct?
Yes.
So her contract was amended that she now gets the car stipend. So she currently does get a vehicle stipend, which definitely pays for the mileage that she does as village manager.
Until we get her car.
So the
That's
actually,
what I thought.
so her agreement was amended.
Until we,
So yes, it's in her contract, to answer your question.
so yeah, we should move forward. If it's in our contract, we should move forward.
Okay, so we'll move forward to have it as a vote. It will not be on the omnibus agenda. So are we going to do the further discussion and the parameters now, or you want to do that at the board meeting?
We can do that at the board meeting.
Okay. All right, 10E, presentation, operational updates, and legislative impacts. Village Manager Wells Armstrong. Marvin, is that you? I'm like, is that you? I was thinking, was it YouTube or something?
It's not me.
It's not there, so somebody took care of it.
Please.
Okay, good evening again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just wanted to provide an update. I meet with the department heads every week. We are working on our strategies. Again, as I stated, this is our first budget with me here as the manager, and we are looking for board feedback. So I definitely will need some goals from the board in terms of what you all want us to focus on in the coming year, but we have also identified some things as well. Some of our primary goals, of course, is to adhere to the budget allocations, fill key positions. We want to make training and professional development a part of our growth strategy. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. I'm not clicking. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much. So some of our primary goals, I'll go ahead and pull these up. We want to make sure we adhere to the budget allocations. As you all know, we just passed our fiscal year budget. We're looking how we can incorporate best practices to improve services. We're working to create a Village of Maywood communications plan. If you noticed on the website, they're starting to issue press releases. The first one went out for the link to LRS, so the residents can contact them directly with any issues. A second one went out this afternoon, early afternoon, about the HOCO survey that's been distributed in the community. There's 2,000 postcards that were mailed, so of course every resident did receive one. All the business owners received one, and we will be talking about some additional ways to get feedback from the community. We also will continue to seek ways to generate revenue and, of course, improve our work-life balance and culture. Some of the highlights in the police department over the last month, we have 3 part-time candidates that are working with HR to undergo medical exams, 2 internal candidates were interviewed for the deputy chief position. I believe HR updated me yesterday and said one of the candidates has passed his physical.
Yes.
Yeah, so he'll be getting a start date with chief. The department assisted with gas giveaways in the past month. We did this twice. Chief said they got better on the second round, so they were able to service 400 plus cars in under 2 hours. We had 5 sergeants test for the lieutenant, and 4 of them were successful. So that went well. And just a highlight that we need some support from our Board of Police and Fire Commission. We need another list for patrol and new hires, establishing a list, and then a new testing date for the sergeant's exam. So those are some of the highlights of police. And then fire, just a couple of things. Chief Bronow reported in the last department head meeting that they've been having a lot of calls to accidents that are related to people driving under the influence. So he asked us to be careful. A number of different substances people have been under the influence of. And then there's been an increased demand in their department by schools requesting to get fire drills done before the year ends. DPW highlighted a couple things. It's alley grading season, but this, of course, is weather permitting. They are not able to conduct this activity with wet ground, so as soon as we get some warmer, drier weather, they'll be out working on the alleys. We've had some people calling in. We anticipate more people complaining about that, but that's what the issue is. They also, Director West has been working with the vendor to make sure that we are timely this year with Christmas decorations, and working on a plan to address the business corridors, main thoroughfares, and beautification. Human resources and IT. We have finalized updates to our database for our current list of employees. Everyone did not have email accounts. We are now having all employees have issued email accounts so they have access to information and we can reduce paper. This doesn't impact work schedules or them getting direction through the email. This is more about them being able to access their check stubs and different things like that and make changes to their benefits and help us reduce paper because we're still using a lot of paper. Open enrollment was just completed for health insurance. Director Ellison team did a great job with that. We have started outreaching temp agencies because it's been very difficult to fill positions. And so we had a person start in the building and code enforcement department, and I had someone start in my office as well. Those positions have been vacant for several months. And then we're working with Comcast to update the telephone system. I did provide this in my update. I think I sent it out on Sunday or Saturday. And we met, Director Satchel, Marvin, and Director Ellison and I met with Comcast to update the phone system. Before I put the prints on the screen, this is a graphic from ComEd that was done by Proviso East students. So I just wanted to include that because it's very beautiful. It doesn't really capture the beauty here, but if you see it. So some of the things I've been working on, like I said, I've been without an executive assistant for 5 months. So I have a temp in the office, Yadira Rosas. Working with the department heads and directors to implement a quarterly report format. We're working with the team to create more streamlined and welcoming spaces at the Village Hall. So some of the appearance things, we are working on that. We are still finalizing the contract with FOP, that's our telecommunicators. Working with the clerks team on the handicap parking and honorary street designation processes. Took a tour of ComEd and working with POCO in terms of facilitating ARPA. Just wanted to highlight, that's Trustee Peppers on the left talking with a representative from ComEd. They were standing over in this area. In the middle picture, there's charging stations for electric vehicles. Trustee Peppers was pretty excited and was talking about that. And they think we should have a charging station in Maywood. So Trustee Peppers is going to take the lead on that. And then I just wanted to show Ms. Banks was there, our community engagement manager, Trustee Brandon, and myself. So Maywood was in strong numbers at this particular event. This was a 3-hour tour last Friday. The last thing I have is just some legislative impacts. The Local Government Distributive Fund, LGDF, this basically is the amount of money municipalities receive from the income taxes that are collected in the state of Illinois. And there had been a lot, at one point back in 2011, I believe, we had 10%. It got dropped down as budgets were cut and we were in harsh economic times, down to 6.06%. Rep. DeLuca led the charge on this, trying to get this. Of course, they wanted 10% in the legislative body. They didn't think they could get it, so they targeted 8% this year to get it raised, and they ended up settling on 6.1%. That's going to equate to about $25,000 to $50,000 more in that revenue line item for the Village of Maywood. So I just wanted to touch base on that. We have a couple of things. I want to give Director Feliciano a shout out because anytime these types of things come across his desk, he always forwards it out to all the department heads with a pay it forward to make sure the community knows what's going on. This is the Illinois Homeowner Assistance Fund, ILHAF program. This is for people who have gotten behind on on their mortgage as a result of COVID. You can call, there's up to $30,000 of mortgage assistance. It's paid directly to the mortgage servicer, but that assistance is available. And then the last thing I have is IDA HAP program, Home Accessibility Program. So this is for our seniors and those with disabilities who are having some trouble, getting a little older. They may need a ramp, they may need, rails in the bathroom to make sure they don't fall, those types of things. So this provides up to $25,000 to help seniors and those with disabilities. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew about that. Those are some of the legislative investments that have been made in programs to help, and our members of our community can certainly benefit from that. And that's all that I had. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
To the village manager.
Wait, Ms. Slade, can you get
correction that was on there?
But can you get with her after the meeting to get a correction? Thank you. All right. 11, village attorney report, items none. 12, trustee committee reports. A, planning and development committee. 1, discussion and recommendation of memorandum regarding the RFP go forward as further drafted by the community development as a marketing tool for the Maywood Market building with a response deadline of June 30th, 2022. Would anybody be opposed to adding this line item to the omnibus agenda for approval? All right, we'll get that line item added. 12A2, discussion and recommendation, memorandum recommending the facade program be folded into a new business improvement program with the individual application limited revised from $50,000 to up to $25,000. I think that's backwards, so it shouldn't. It was revised from the 25 now up to 50,000. So we're reducing it. So reducing the program. All right. Would anybody be opposed to adding that to the omnibus agenda for approval?
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon.
So a few things. So the program, the facade program, was already folded into what is now known as a business improvement program. And so that happened last year. And for the purposes of being able to focus in on our blighted areas, specifically within the Roosevelt Road as well as in the Madison Street TIF district areas, because those are where the most monies lie in regards to the two active TIFs that we have. And so the idea when we created the business improvement program was for the purposes of helping to attract developers to those specific areas. The reason why we had increased the amount was simply to help those businesses who needed major work done on their properties. Case in point, roofing, electrical work, any major plumbing work. Because regardless of the fact that whether or not the business moved on to another community, that investment would still be in that property. And that's why we increased that amount, with the whole focus being on the village of Maywood needs to do more to invest in economic development. And we need to do more to assist and make it more attractive for people to think Maywood when they're looking to build a business or start a business. So these particular areas are in dire need of attention. And so the whole purpose was to increase the amount to make it more attractive and to make sure that we expanded the program as well. Like I said, it includes roofing, electrical work, plumbing work, architectural designs as well, to help really invest in these blighted areas, specifically within the Madison Street TIF district area. As we look at businesses along the 17th and Madison corridor, from Quincy all the way down to almost Maple Street. We're talking about there are a lot of properties that are in need of assistance. And so the purposes of where this money is coming from the TIF funds. The purpose of that is to reinvest in your business district to make those areas more attractive and more appealing. And so you cannot have economic development if you do not have community development. And so this was in a push to make those areas more attractive and to really invest those monies back into where it's needed the most, and it's in the in those properties that are blighted within that area and to make it more attractive again. So it is my hope that we would keep those, keep the amount the same. There are properties that are right now being promoted by whether it be the village or Cook County Land Bank. As we look at putting some of these properties back on the tax roll and finalizing some of these deals, whether it's the old Volkswagen car dealership on 5th and Roosevelt, the building over on 5th and Washington on a corner, which is in dire need of attention, that falls into the Madison Street 5th District, and even the property that we own. The Maywood Market grocery store, which has been sitting for an extremely long time, which also resources from that could be utilized to enhance that property as well. So the premises of this was to make it more attractive, to attract developers to come to these particular areas so we can have our economic development team go out to some of these conferences to promote these different incentives that we have to attract developers. And so for those particular reasons, I would say that we need to keep the price at where it was at to keep it more attractive for those particular reasons.
So trustee, just to summarize, your goal is for it to stay at 50,000, not to reduce to 50,000.
It should stay at 50,000.
Would anybody else be interested in keeping it at 50,000 versus reducing it down to 25? No commentary? Okay, so, thank you for that. But so, from my understanding, would everybody be in favor of proceeding with the program as being at 25? Would anybody be opposed to that? Hearing none.
We all do.
So, well, I'm saying, would anybody be opposed to leaving it at 25? So we'll leave it at 25. The only thing that I will say...
The program is not at 25.
Say that again?
I said the program is not at 25.
Trustee Brandon, so the program is not active right now. To reactivate the program, the goal is to reduce it from 50 down to 25 by the majority of the board. I understand your goal is to keep it at 50, but that's what the conversation is right now. So to get the program reactivated that has not been activated currently, we're going to look at naming it the Business Improvement Program, add the additional benefits that businesses can benefit from, reduce it from up to 50,000 for up to 25,000. The one thing that I will say that's missing is the list of business types that are not eligible for it. Because I think one of the biggest issues when we talked about this before was, just so you have background knowledge, the big argument came from the third Sharks. So the third Sharks was the last business to benefit from the Business Improvement Program. And legally, we could not allow them the $25,000, but nobody wanted to give them the $25,000 for a third Sharks. But because that list or those parameters of business types wasn't there, we could not give them the money. So I think the one thing that needs to get added to this is the parameters of what eligible business types are eligible. If there are a certain amount of businesses that are within the community, can it be, say, if 5 barbershops applied in 1 year, like what business types are we going to allow the eligibility to go to, like one business type per year? I think that's kind of missing in here, because those are the two things that I would say are missing from the conversation. So if we could if you guys could have discussions as chair and director to get that updated, I think it would be great to go. So let's just, if everybody's in favor, get those amendments added and then get it added to the board packet for approval, but not added to the omnibus agenda because we need to see what the new amendments would be.
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon.
Thank you. So again, and I would like to lean towards the attorney in regards to we have some issues when it pertains to identifying what specific businesses and making it so specific for like only geared towards a certain business that there was some legal ramifications that the village could face. And so I just want to state that the purposes of those monies, the tip is to reinvest in your business district area. That particular business that you just mentioned is in the Madison Street business district. And I think you had the concern about allowing that particular business to utilize the funds, but they fail within the area where those funds are at, which is the Madison Street tip. And so now the property that you're speaking of, where they're located now, was vacant for a long time, and now you have an enhanced property now. And so I would like to hear from the rest of my board colleagues, because this really is a critical issue. And we're really talking about improving the village of Maywood and really putting money where it truly belongs in regards to reinvesting in the TIF area. The program already exists. It was on hold. The business improvement program already exists. It's a current program that was on hold until we further investigate, looking at what changes need to be made to it. So there's no longer a Maywood facade program. There's a business improvement program that was on hold due to the fact that there was concerns about additional evaluating what businesses could receive the funds and things of that nature. And then the attorney at that particular time informed us that we had to be very careful in regards to bringing up a particular type of business, because then we could be sued as a village. So again, I would like to hear from the rest of my board colleagues in regards to what their thoughts on utilizing TIF funds, which is designed to reinvest back into the business district, and doing it in a way that is going to have a major impact.
So thank you for that, trustee. I think one thing that we do need to realize is the business improvement program was never approved because because the discussion was that list. To give clarity, it was presented for the facade program to change, and then it was tabled and put on hold. That's why it's not currently an active program. There is nobody who can currently right now go to the village of Maywood and apply for a business improvement program nor a facade program. The conversation was the same way when there was the developer who wanted to do the strip mall at First and Lake. At the strip mall development at First and Lake, the village of Maywood gave restrictions on what would not be allowed to be put in that strip mall. So there was a list of businesses that could not go into that new development. So the same way that we were able to put a list of businesses that could not go into the new strip mall, we were looking at, it was on the Excite development. So Excite was the development project that was done, and it was a list of businesses that would not be eligible to go into that site. So the same way that we designed that list and the same way we did that agreement was within the same spirit that the conversation got halted at what would be eligible and not eligible. And I think when you said it was just me, it wasn't just me. The conversation was myself and yourself as well, trustee, had just voted down the Popeyes chicken development. And then 2 weeks later, we were approving $25,000 for a third Sharks, if you recall. Like, that's what happened. So I think if everyone would like to keep it open to anybody, if that's the majority's thought process, but I think that we definitely need to look at the types of businesses. Trustee Reyes-Plummer.
I believe we already have a set list of,
perfect.
Yes. I just want to clarify that. That's first off. Second off, to go back to Trustee Brandon's comment about the beautiful establishment that we have going on right there on First and Madison. It's not a business right now. Nothing is happening in that location. So you gave this business $25,000 to sit there and do nothing.
Right.
I pass it up every day. It's a dinosaur. I hate to say, hey, like, what's happening? Nothing. Nothing is happening. So if we lessen the amount, maybe that will help our community out a little bit better, just because it'll bring businesses in that actually want to do something rather than people that are just getting money just to sit there and do nothing.
And then, thank you for that, Trustee Reyes-Plummer. One thing that I will add to the Chicken Shack, the third Sharks, is they did not finish their project within the 6-month period, so actually they have forfeited that money. I just want to be clear on that. Because they're not open, and it's been a year. So the program literally says, it stipulates that the project must be completed within 6 months. So they've actually forfeited that $25,000. But it's in the contract. So the conversation is, at this point, Trustee Brandon would like for the program to remain open to any business type, whereas community development and the community development committee already has a list, it just simply wasn't included in the board packet? Okay. I'm sorry, Director Feliciano.
So we had, first of all, I want to commend the leadership of Trustee Reyes-Plummer and Trustee Sanchez because they've been providing guidance at these planning committee meetings. And part of the direction that we were talking about was looking at the TIF areas, right, Roosevelt, and also the Madison Fifth Avenue, but also when I was talking to the mayor about some of these, the vision of it in light of the committee was looking at the additional TIFs that the board had already talked about. So then be able to encompass all of the commercial districts within the village of Maywood. I think that's something that from a community development perspective that I would like to sort of also note and just for us to be mindful is also to look at from the equity lens, right? So if you're looking at some of the bigger, more established businesses and companies, they're gonna tap into it right away. So you also wanna have some level of local control so that if you have small business owners from Maywood that wanna benefit but need that extra technical assistance to get through the process, that we're able to help them. So that's why in the application, you do see sort of like a clause that would probably answer some of the questions that says, if more applications are received than current funding levels allow, the committee reserves the right to prioritize applications on the basis of extent of the work, level of private funding, and the relative impact of the proposed improvements to the area. So it's sort of like that caveat there that would, again, give us the flexibility to determine, okay, we know there's only $300,000 for this project, for the Business Improvement Fund. So we know that if there's going to be more applications, then the committee's going to review it and determine which one is going to have the highest impact.
Thank you, Director. Thank you. All right, so from what I'm understanding from the board, unless there's any other conversation, we're going to get that updated list from the director. We'll add it to the board packet, not on the omnibus agenda, but under old business to give a final vote on. Would anybody be opposed to that? All right, we'll go that route. All right.
So,
Trustee Brandon.
Yes, for the record, the reason why, let me just give some context, the reason why I am so adamant about this, and I'm going to make sure I have the minutes available at the next meeting when it pertains to this particular program. Because there's a program that I brought to this board. And so that's why I am so much engaged in this conversation, because I brought the business improvement program to the board and the ability to expand the program to include roofing, plumbing, and those other things based on a ride-along that I conducted or that I worked with the community development director at that particular time, David Myers. And so what I hear is that we're going to decrease the amount of this program, and at that particular time, a lot of folks wasn't even tapping into the program, and so that's why we're trying to make it more enticing for businesses to tap into it and include other things as a part of this business improvement program. And so, these are definitely conversations I would hope that we collectively are engaged in, because it's very much important when you have a TIF district like the Madison Street TIF that produces $4 million, and if you ride along from Fifth Avenue to Madison Street, and you look at these buildings that's been dilapidated for decades, in dire need of attention, we have to reinvest in these areas. And the TIF money is how you do it. It belongs in these areas to assist these buildings to, become alive again. And if you ride down Fifth Avenue, Madison Street, those buildings look horrible. And we need to do more to invest in those areas, and that's the purpose of the TIF funds. So I will be pulling those minutes to make sure I confirm to you all that this program already existed. It was just on hold. And so now what I'm hearing tonight is that we're just taking them out and we're decreasing it again. We were already at that amount. We increased it so that we can reinvest in those areas based on what we assess from those properties within the Madison Street TIF area. And the focus wasn't on the other areas because we already know that the St. Charles and Lake Street TIF had already expired. So we were looking at the areas where the money was at, which was in the Roosevelt Road, in the Madison Street TIF, and then looking at the properties that lie within those particular areas. So again, it was my hope that there'll be more conversation regarding this and not just moving things along, but have some conversation on how does it look in these areas, what do we want to look like, and how can we entice people to go after these resources that enhance their properties that will then enhance the village of Maywood. And you don't do it by decreasing the amount. You don't do it by doing those things. You do it by putting the money on into these projects. So again,
No, I was just going to ask. I'll let
Trustee
you know.
Reyes Plummer.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and take your recommendation into consideration, and then we'll talk about it, as we mentioned before, through email. And if we, change it, then we will at the next meeting. No problem.
Appreciate it.
All right. 12F, ordinance and policy. 1, discussion and recommendations. Memo recommending a 3-month freeze moratorium to be placed on the following business license: barbershops, hair salons, nail salons, spas, banquet halls, event spaces, tobacco shops, and fast food restaurants, in order for the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals to complete an updated use table study including all C districts. Would anybody be opposed to having this discussion now that it's been moved from a 6-month freeze to a 3-month freeze?
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon.
Yeah, my concern still lies. I'm not even sure if we, reached out to the business community to get them involved in the conversation. Again, as we continue to recover from this pandemic, and as a community, and especially as a business community, I think that we could do our part, do our due diligence, do our investigation, and without holding hostage or holding anything up. And I would like to also know from our community development or the village manager and our community development team in regards to what is the interest. Is there a line of people outside of 40 Madison, rushing to get these permits in, or rushing to, establish a barbershop or any of these particular business? Is one of the questions I would pose to staff. And if that's not the case, if there's not a long line outside the village hall with people trying to come in to process permits, all of this time that we've taken already, I mean, we could have been doing our due diligence to investigate and assess and analyze, what's the best route for this. And so for me, just thinking about where we are and, coming out of this pandemic and people still trying to recover and get their business started or off the ground, I think that we can do our due diligence and then come back with the way forward.
Mayor?
Trustee Reyes Plummer.
We have done a study, so I'm going to let, if you don't mind, Director Feliciano.
Direct.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Manager Wells Armstrong.
Thank you. Director has some information to share, so if you can come up.
Thank you. No, okay. What about that?
It's on.
It's going to be.
No, you had turned it right back off. So give it a minute.
Add like a light to it. No, try to. There you go.
There you go. So at the last meeting, we were talking about the reason why we wanted to really study the commercial corridors and really bring about economic diversity to some of the commercial corridors, so that you could have not a sort of like a coupled group of different, same type of businesses within certain, the corridors. So when part of the discussion that we had and part of the task for community development was looking at, from the March 22nd meeting that we talked about, which was the hearing, since then there's been 8 business licenses that applied. Out of those, one of them was denied by community development, and out of the remaining 7, 3 of them would fall into the category of the moratorium definition. So in essence, out of the 7 new businesses that opened since March 22nd, 3 of those were within that category. Do you have any questions?
Trustee Reyes-Bonner.
Thank you. And just to piggyback off of what Director Feliciano just said, with us having moving parts all the time, it's hard to do a study if we continue to just let businesses come in and not put a halt to it just for a few months while the Zoning and Planning Commission takes their study and does, gives us their feedback. Because if we continue to let businesses in, they're not able to do that study properly and precisely.
Well, part of the discussion also, and we had Commissioner Files was at the meeting as well. Commissioner Files from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and part of it was also to be able to explore again the diversity within the commercial corridors. Yes, we want development. Yes, we want to see growth, but you also want smart growth and sensible growth, not just any business wanting to come in. The other thing that I also expressed to the committee was also really looking at some of the businesses that do want to come in, that want to reap the benefits of the Cook County tax breaks, and then when that expires, they leave shop. So they never really had an interest in building in Maywood. They just wanted to reap those benefits, right? Like when we look at the incentive, the Cook County incentives. So going back to and again, this is a larger conversation, and I think that's why it was, to have this study to really explore these options, but also as it pertains to the Maywood market, obviously the community has clamored, we need a grocery store. And it's been heard loud and clear by this board. And I think that one of the strategies is really looking at when we were talking about the RFP, is how do you have your ambassadors really championing some of these things? And by that I mean your Speaker of the House represents this community. You have the Assistant Majority Leader, the Senator, represents this community. These are people that many times there's a lot of interest in Springfield that go knock on their doors. And this is an opportunity to really shepherd that process along and really be in a way that, yes, we have an RFP, but how can we now be intentional and strategic with knocking on those doors and then having our ambassadors be able to say, hey, this is what we need. So again, it's part of a larger conversation, but I wanted to provide a little bit of context.
Trustee Brandon.
And so you just brought up something that was very, very critical. You just stated something that was really, really critical. And what you just stated is, it's part of a larger conversation. And the village, I know the village manager had scheduled a meeting or a training around economic development. And so I think for me, that's where I would like to start first, with that larger conversation, and then allow it to trickle on down on how or what we want to see in these respective areas and what's the best way to move forward. A larger conversation, I know the village manager had talked about this, to take place, where we all are involved in helping to provide some guidance and direction when it relates to economic development and really like setting the tone for what we want to see within these particular areas. Because I heard what you said and I took a note of it in regards to the 7 businesses. And one of the questions that came to mind is, so for an example, are they looking to move in a space that used to be a former barbershop? Are they looking to reestablish back in that area? And what does that look like? So if you have a barbershop or a place that used to be a barbershop looking to move into something that was a barbershop, how are we evaluating that piece as well?
All right, thank you. So, Trustee, I think it was more of a statement. So, Trustee Brandon,
My question was, how are we evaluating, how we included that in our evaluation as it pertains to if a space was a barbershop, you have someone who's coming to reopen a barbershop?
So normally the way that we evaluate if a business wants to come to a commercial corridor, we look at the zoning. So we look at, is it an allowed use, and what's the step that they need to take in order for them to open a business. Now, if we wanted to do a little bit more thorough in terms of that, what you're requesting, trustee, then I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank
and
you
see
so much.
like if or if it's at vacant for X amount of years, and now there's a business that wants to be there. So yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mayor. Trustee Peppers, sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to make a statement. In reference to the original moratorium, 6 months was excessive, but I have to honestly say that Reyes Plummer, Feliciano, and Director Feliciano, and also Sanchez did a great job in downsizing it. Because I look at it like this, with 3 months, now you have to work and do your due diligence, and then you can also control that, do things of that nature, and make sure the proper businesses are held accountable in our village and things that we need, and then we can kind of have a control on things better. And I would be for it, definitely for 3 months. I was against it for 6 months because of COVID, things of that nature. You know, the business owners going through everything that we went through as far as COVID. It wasn't fair, but 3 months, I think it's reasonable.
I just want to ask a quick question to the director.
Trustee Reyes Plummer.
We have an actual meeting, correct?
Correct.
Of the grocery establishment. So what date and time is that?
It's this Friday at 1 p.m.
So all trustees are available to come to that viewing of the grocery store that was currently there for, viewing purposes, if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so at the direction of the committee, part of the task was to schedule a viewing. So myself, Director Duncan, we went ahead and kind of scheduled that. So you guys should have all received the invitation, including with the village manager.
All right, so in looking at this ordinance, Trustee Brandon, I understand you have reservation on it. Trustee Reyes Plummer, you would like to move forward with it. Trustee Jones, would you like to move forward with it?
I'd like to hear the manager's input.
Manager Rose Armstrong.
I'm concerned about the time frame to level set, if 3 months would be enough. I think we need to make sure that we've done our due diligence to incorporate the people in the community that want to be impacted. So to talk to as many business owners as possible, the chamber, if there's business groups, the community college. I think whoever is a stakeholder that this will impact. And I just want to make sure that that we're setting a realistic expectation for the 3 months. Because I know there had been previous discussion, there was a concern about that short time period. I know the board is trying to keep it short to balance. I don't know other communities that have had this issue where they need to update things. The hard part is that we can't, as the mayor I think mentioned, we don't have the authority, the ability right now to stop people from opening businesses if they're undesirable businesses, because we don't have anything in writing in place to stop it. So that's the balancing act. With that being said, we can reach out to other communities, to see how they've handled this, to balance that so that people don't feel like they're being left out or discriminated against, but still allow the municipality to the time they need to, review. Trustee Reyes Plummer, I'll be more than happy, to talk with you and see what support we can give you to make sure that the board has as much data and can make an informed decision.
Okay, so are we tabling this to come back? Okay, moving forward.
So
the 3 month.
So I guess my comment was to hear from the manager. I would hope that we can incorporate some of those comments into just our the further discussion. I do think it's a pretty big discussion. I just want to say high level to our, when I hear about moratoriums, it seems like what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for future growth in which direction that we want to go and make assessments. I'm not sure if I'm bought in on a moratorium needing to do that, because I'm pretty sure as of right now, I would imagine out of the discussion, we would, in theory, want to rearrange things, and that's not practical. So I guess I don't want to send the wrong message. And I think some of our narrative, too, I just want to be careful about that we're not targeting businesses because we don't want this. We just want more of what we don't have. And to me, it seems like we might be kind of murking that message, especially with businesses that are applying to these grants where they feel like they're welcome to apply. And then if they're hearing our discussion, they might get the impression that we don't want them here. That is not the impression with any business. But where we are in a situation where we want to set ourselves up to get those things that we want. But it's not to bash or to lambaste or whatever what I think some people might be feeling when they're hearing about some of these opportunities and grants. If they do apply, I just don't want them to be concerned that we're going to be calling them out by name, saying that we don't want them to apply. That's not the message that I want to convey, because at the end of the day, they apply based on the criteria that we presented, and then they apply. So when they kind of hear that type of feedback, it can be discouraging for some people. So just make sure we just work on that messaging, but just let's incorporate some of that feedback that we've gotten, and that's all I have to say on that.
Trustee Reyes-Palmer.
Just to go back to your comment on not allowing certain businesses, it doesn't just put a hold on licenses. It shows the distance between certain businesses. For instance, we have T&JJ's here. We don't want another T&JJ's right across the street. That builds up too much competition and can hinder one business over the other. So that's what it's basically doing as well. It's not just we're not allowing businesses in. That's not what it's doing. It's just saying we're going to do a hold on what we have currently now to do a study and move forward. That's all.
So one thing I will say, this was brought up in February. Now we have May talking about it again. So realistically, if we go with this 3 months, we could have really did the 6 months. You have the village manager.
It hasn't been a moratorium.
But no, what I'm saying, but he just said that people were denied based on the zoning board anyway. So that application got put in. Oh, so those aren't denied?
No, the one that was denied was because they needed a license from the state.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not for zoning purposes.
So, yeah. So at the end of the day, I think the biggest conversation that we saw February 1st was literally a tobacco shop trying to put a tobacco shop right next to a tobacco shop. So I think the goal is to not have those things happen. If we are not going to take voting action on this, we're dragging it into June. So, Trustee Jones,
I just want that feedback to be incorporated into what our final plan is.
Would you be opposed to having it as a part of the May board meeting, as long as more information and data is provided to you?
If we're comfortable with that, we can get that feedback by then, then sure. But I mean, if we're
So
not,
then that would be the village manager working with the community development and planning and development committee, talking to the director as well as the chair.
Have a final product that we feel
possible,
like the stakeholders have been bought in on, and we're moving forward, and we feel comfortable that we've gotten the appropriate buy-in with this moratorium. That's my feedback.
So if the three entities of community development, planning and development committee, as well as village manager, have their discussions and it's able to be put on the board packet, you will be open to voting in favor of it if you provide the information and the confidence of all parties to recommend moving forward with it?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Lightfoot, would you be in favor of it?
Yes.
Trustee Peppers, would you be in favor of it?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go in that direction to try to get everybody to have those meetings prior to the meeting. If it's able to be put on the board packet, it will. If the time is not able to have it on the board packet, we'll have it on the cal at the next cal. Oh, because we're going to 7 hours, right? If it's able to be put on the board packet for meetings, it'll be put on the board packet. If not, it'll be at the next meeting. Okay.
And then, Mayor, just given them what time it is, can we just make sure we're done by 10?
Listen, I'm trying.
All right. 10 o'clock, we out of here.
Okay, Manager Wells Armstrong.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very quickly, my intention when I set that meeting April 23rd, we were going to have a workshop to address community development, economic development. We were going to look at the comprehensive plan that's been expired since 2012. We were going to look at our RTA plan and get some feedback from the full board, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other community stakeholders about the direction. And so that's why I had set it for April, trying to get that done first before you all move to this step. So I'm telling on me and the mayor, we were just sitting here looking at calendars and proposing Saturday, June 11th for that workshop. Okay, I'll send some day, maybe a weekday and not Saturday, but a weekday. You know, you all work. I've already put this in. Okay. Well, I'll talk to Mayor and we'll send something out.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to 13, new business, discussion and consideration engineer agreement for 22 road improvements and water main improvements by engineering Bill Peter Hansen. You guys have all the memos. Would anybody be opposed to having these agreements move forward to omnibus agenda? I hear nothing, so we're going to move forward to that. We'll get that added. Thank you. Bill, we appreciate you. At least it's not midnight at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, old business, discussion recommendation only, none. For information only, none. Closed session. We need to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation. So, I need a motion to go into closed session. All right, everyone, have a blessed night.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, wait. Motion by Trustee Reyes-Plummer, second by Trustee Brandon. Can you please call the roll? Sorry.
Trustee Sanchez? Trustee Reyes-Plummer?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Weisner? Pepper?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Mayor Mosley?